Over to you, Abhinaya.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. Warm greetings, good day to all. I'm R. Abhinaya, PhD Research Scholar, Department of Commerce, University of Madras, Tamil Nadu, India. I take a great pleasure in welcoming you all back for the International Conference on Research Outlook, Innovation and Research Trends, Day 2, Session 4. For every minute spent in organizing, an hour is earned. On this note, I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to the 18 international and national universities and institutes who have collaborated to organize the virtual conference. The organizers are Giuseppe D. Vittorio Foundation, Research Unit, Regional Economics, Rome, Italy, University, Kebangsaan, Malaysia, JSPM's Bivarabai Sawant Institute of Technology and Research, Department of Electrical Engineering, Pune, India, Association of Chemistry Teachers, Kavitri Bahinabai Chowdhury, North Maharashtra University, Jalgaon, India, Arvind Gawali College of Engineering, Satara, India, Lviv Polytechnic National University, Institute of Economics and Management, Department of Management and International Business, Lviv, Ukraine, Tashkent State University of Economics, Uzbekistan, Financial and Economical College, Russian Federation, Department of Commerce, University of Madras, Chennai, India, Vasil Goldis Western University of Arad, Romania, CT Institute of Management and Information Technology, Jalandhar, India, Sami National Agrarian Sami, Ukraine, SBKM Sri Bahubai Maftlal Polytechnic, Mumbai, India, Southern Isabella College of Arts and Trades, Calacen, Santiago City, Philippines, Academy of Public Administration under the President of Republic Uzbekistan, School of Social Sciences and Humanities, B.S. Abdul Rahman Crescent Institute of Science and Technology, Chennai, India, College of Teacher Education, Negros Oriental State University, Main Campus 1, Dumaguete City, Philippines, and International Journal of Advanced Research Study and Research Work, Mumbai, India. I welcome and thank the organizers once again. Learning gives creativity. Creativity leads to thinking. Thinking provides knowledge, and knowledge makes you great. On that note, let us begin the conference. I'm happy to welcome the chairperson of today's conference, Dr. Libertin D. Guzman, Professor Ford and Dean, College of Teacher Education since 2013 at Negros Oriental State University, Main Campus 1, Dumaguete City, Philippines. We welcome you, ma'am. Over to you.
I am happy and privileged that my university, teachers, and students take part in this international conference on research outlook, innovations, and research trends. This is a convergence of scientists and scholars where educators, aspiring researchers can learn from the experts their best practices and experiences in the conduct of research. I would like to commend the hardworking committees for their gigantic task, the limitations of the pandemic. The strong support from the attendees coming from the 18 institutions from 88 countries is a manifestation of our love for knowledge that made us to continue pushing ahead against all odds. I hope this will not be the end of these intellectual dialogues among research experts. As the saying goes, education is life. We only stop learning and collaborating when we are 6 feet below the ground. Being alive, we can do many good things together. A pleasant afternoon.
Ma'am, please unmute your device. Abhinay, I think there is a network problem at ma'am's end. So please forward the session. Abhinay, please unmute your device.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm profusely elated to take this opportunity to introduce our chief guest, Dr. Meruvik Keteda, ma'am. Meruvik Keteda. Ma'am holds the PhD in agriculture. She is also the professor to and vice president of research and extension at Negros Oriental State University, Philippines. It's my honor to welcome Ms. Kisinja Chipak, who has work experience over 24 years in the Ministry of Finance and Tax Administration. Ma'am is highly respected and recognized international tax expert who has been heavily involved in lawmaking and also responsible for many tax reforms. She is the Assistant Director General for Legislation and International Cooperation in COSIA. I'm very happy to welcome you, ma'am. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Good day to everyone, audience, participants, and my dear colleagues here. Greetings from Zagreb, Croatia. As you said, madam, I work in Ministry of Finance, Tax Administration for more than 25 years, and I was responsible for several tax reforms. And right now, I'm currently involved as a head of tax risk analysis in the Tax Administration Ministry of Finance. So I wish you very welcome today in this day 2 of the International Conference of the Research Outlook, Innovations and Research Trends 2020. Special thanks to organizers, especially dear Ms. Priyanka Gupta for this invitation. And it's my really pleasure to be here with you. And I think that this is a very important webinar, and especially for sharing knowledge and new experience. Unfortunately, we are right now in these terrible times of pandemic, and will be much nicer than we can talk um, and have some collaboration live. But I'm really grateful that we are living in a digital era and we should and can communicate this way. So I'm right now, of course, in Europe. You are in India, or all around the world. So it's really amazing how we can share our knowledge. As I said about this pandemic, it is important, and that's my opinion, that only knowledge and only innovations and only research could help us to get out from this crisis and many other crises that will be, that's for sure. So we should research, we are in the completely new era, completely new economy, completely new world. Everything is changing around us. As we are looking at new technologies, new digitalization, new lawmaking, so that's new way of taxation. So that's all the new things, and your what you will bring in your research will be something that will make us and we will going forward with your research. So this is very important webinar. I think that you will all enjoy it and share knowledge. As I said, knowledge is a power. So that will be very useful in your future research work. And special thanks for the for my colleagues here, Professor Dr. Libertine de Guzman, Dr. Merivic Catada, and Dr. Parul Arora. I wish you a very, very nice and very useful day. Once again, thank you very much and greetings from Croatia.
Thank you, ma'am. Moving forward, it's my privilege to welcome Dr. Parul S. Arora, Associate Professor and IQAC Head, JSPM in Imperial College of Engineering and Research. Ma'am has teaching experience over 19 years, publishing more than 30 papers in SEI and UGC journals. Her area of research includes artificial intelligence and machine learning, video processing, and biomedical signal processing. Ma'am has filed and published 2 patents. At present, she is guiding 6 PhD research students. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Ruban ma'am. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers of this international conference on research outlook, innovation, and research trends 2020. And it's my privilege that here I'm in front of you to share my knowledge, whatever I have gained in my career. Uh, uh, Thank you, Senjia ma'am, also that you have shared your knowledge, you have shared your things. We are very obliged to hear from you. And I'll just start my presentation. Can you see my presentation?
No, I cannot see. Yes, right now it's here.
I think it's visible now.
Yes, ma'am. It's visible
Okay.
now.
Can I start now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let me just tell you. Thank you, Ruban ma'am, for introduction. The contents which I'm going to cover today are the purpose, the outcome, the hourglass model, the framing the thesis statement, title, abstract, introduction and literature review, body, discussion, formatting, and bibliography or references. So, to start with, what is the purpose of this? What is the purpose of this talk? The purpose of this talk is to identify and examine the components essential for planning and executing research paper writing. So here the 2 important keywords are, we are going to really identify and examine those components which are responsible for writing a research paper. Now, every work is incomplete without its outcome. At the end of this talk, the participants will be able to do the 3 things. First, they will be identify and conceptualize the essential steps in research paper writing. Second, the most important is resource utilization at various stages. And third is the execution part, that is initiate the steps towards paper writing. Now, this is the hourglass model, which is also called as the King model. Here you can see there is a diagram, and the bottom of this diagram we can see there is a thematic scope. What is the theme? And on the left hand side we can see the logical order. The logical order goes from top to bottom. Now, if we talk about the King model consists of the blocks like title, abstract, introduction, body, and discussion. Now, why this called as king model? Because of the shape, because of the crown shape of the abstract and the two different shapes of the introduction and the discussion. Now the middle three blocks you can see here, introduction, body and discussion, these three blocks are combinedly called as hourglass model. So this very much looks like hourglass which we used to have in our early days when there were no watches. Now, each shape of this block carries the importance. Now, if we talk about the title is the rectangular shape which has its own importance. Like it should consist of certain words which are very easy to understand, which are to the point, and which gives the clear cut idea of the paper. Now, if we talk about the shape of this abstract, it looks like a crown. So if we talk or if we look closely at the abstract block, at the top it is broad, at the middle it is little narrow, and even at the bottom it is again broad. That means while writing the abstract, we need to take care that we need to start with the broader part, then need to go to the narrower part. Here narrower part indicates your what we can say algorithm, your methodology, your technique, whatever you are proposing. And at the end, you need to describe the scope in application point of view. Now, to move on, we have introduction. We have a specific shape given for this introduction. Now, to start with, we can see the top part of the introduction is again broader and we should go to the narrower. So, we will look at these perspectives in detail later on also. Then comes body. Now, here body is a vertical rectangular shape and below the body we can see discussion. Now, if we look closely, the introduction is very much counter opposite or counterpart of discussion. That means we need to write the discussion in a very narrower way and then we need to go to the broader way. And at the end, we need to write down the bibliography or the references. Now, the next important part is resource utilization. Now, what happens when the research scholar starts his or her work? He or means he can download hundreds of paper. But then question arises, how to read these hundreds of paper, how to go through these hundreds of paper. So this is one way to utilize the resource. The first way, this my guide used to tell me, that first of all, we need to read only title. So after reading the title, you will come to know the title which matches with your own research work, with your own concept. You need to sort out those research papers and you can discard the remaining. The second thing you need to do is read abstract only. Now we know that in any research paper, abstract is the most important part. Abstract consists of little introduction, it consists of the proposed method, it consists of the results, it consists of its application. So from the abstract, we get a clear-cut idea whether this paper matches with your concept or not. If it does, you can keep it, otherwise you can discard it. So just by reading the abstract, you can sort out the papers. The next three things you can do simultaneously. That is, you can read the body, read headings and subheadings. You can make note of charts, statistics, graphics, and you can read the references too. And you can make mark of this. So this is how you can make the resource utilization for your own research work. Now, this is the slide which shows you the framing of preliminary thesis statement. Let's say my topic is environmental issues connected to global warming. And let's say my focus topic is coal fires. So I need to frame the questions related to this. The questions could be, how prevalent are the coal fires? In what ways do the coal fires contribute to global warming? What proof is there that coal fires in fact contribute to global warming? Now, when I am able to answer these questions that forms my thesis statement. So here you can see the thesis statement here can become ragging in mines from Pennsylvania to China, coal fires threaten towns, poison air and water, and to add global warming. So this is how the thesis statement can be framed. Now we need to frame the thesis statement even at the PhD level, at PG level, or even at the graduation level. So when we are able to answer these framed questions, that can easily give you the thesis statement. And next is the philosophical flow. Of course, the technical flow is different. But philosophically, when we start working on any research, we need to understand the situation first. We need to describe the background situation. We need to study that background situation. And from that background situation, we can understand what exactly is the problem. The problem can be anything. Just we need to identify that problem. After identify that problem, we need to describe that problem. After describing that problem, we can propose our method to solve that problem, to give the solution to that problem, and how you are going to address this problem. After addressing this problem, whatever method you have proposed, you need to evaluate it to give your results. So this is how the philosophical flow is. And this is the outline of any paper. The outline of the paper consists of the title, the abstract, the introduction, body, discussion, and the references. So we'll see one by one in detail. So first is the title. So what is the title? We can see the fewest possible words that adequately describe the contents of the paper. Now title is the most important part of any paper. So what it is basically, it is fewest possible words that describe the contents of the paper. And it is mostly read the first and most, and based on that we can decide whether we need to continue or not. Now, the titles could be too long titles, the titles could be too short titles. But sometimes the too long titles could become too boring, too negative to read. Here I have quoted some examples like velocity and temperature in solar magnetic elements from a statistical multi-line center to limb analysis. Now, if we read this title, this looks to be too long and sometimes little boring to read even. The second example I have quoted over here is magnetic field in lake-type dwarfs, preliminary results of a multi-line approach neglecting line saturation. Now this is the second title, which seems to be too long and negative too. The second example I want to quote for too short title. So let's see what happens with the too short title. Here, the first example is planetary atmosphere. Now we don't understand anything from this planetary atmosphere, what research work is being done. So this short title is not appropriate. On the contrary, you can see the second title, turbulence in the atmosphere of terrestrial planet. This looks to be little appropriate. Even we can see the last title, new light on the heart of darkness of the solar chromosphere. This also seems to be little appropriate. So now the question arises, how should be your title? The title should compose, or it should be simple, attractive, and accurately reflects the investigation. But the most important thing is it should avoid the phrases, the words like investigation, study, novel, facile, etc. Now, there are four types of title. The title could be a descriptive title, it could be a declarative title, it could be interrogative title, or a compound title. These are the four types of title. We'll see these four titles in detail. So first is the descriptive title. What is a descriptive title? As the name indicates, it describes the paper. That means what it is all about. For example, investigating the role of academic conferences on shaping the research agenda. Means it gives you detailed description of the paper. Most of the paper are descriptive titles only. Second type of title is declarative title. As the name indicates, it directly declares the outcome of the paper, the result of the paper. For example, academic conferences shape the short-term research agenda. So this is the declarative type of title. Third is interrogative. As the name indicates, there is a question. There is a question pose. For example, do academic conferences shape the research agenda? So this type of title creates eagerness in the author, eagerness in the reader to read what has been given next. And the last type of title is a compound title. The combination of any two type of titles is nothing but compound title. For example, do academic conferences shape the research agenda? And empirical investigation. So here you can see the interrogative and descriptive title has been compounded or combined. Now, I have referred a paper, the paper by Pitt in 2002. According to him, what the effective titles should have. So, the effective titles can identify the main issue of the paper. It can begin with the subject of the paper. It should be accurate, unambiguous, specific, and complete. And it do not contain abbreviation unless they are well known to the target audience. Many times what happens, the researchers, as they try to incorporate some of the abbreviations which they think it is known to all, but it is not. So we should always try to avoid such abbreviations. And the most important is they should attract the readers. Now, this is the small study of citation and downloading of the paper. Now, we know that to do any research work, we need to download the paper, we need to refer the paper, we need to cite the paper. So, this is some small study which shows the number of downloads and citations based on titles or types of titles. Like suppose I have interrogative titles. Interrogative titles, they have more downloads, but their citations are less. Later on, we'll see in detail what is basically a citation is. But for now, interrogative titles, they have more downloads, but fewer cites. The compound titles, they have fewer downloads, both as well as citation also. And the longer titles, they are going towards the negative side. That means they have fewer downloads than the shorter titles. So this is how the type of title also keeps impact on number of downloads and citations as well. So here you can see these are the two examples of titles. I will say, to be more specific, the compound title and the descriptive title. The example is educational technology and culture, the influence of ethnic and professional culture on the learners. So this is a very good example of compound title. And second example, you can see a new network for dynamic adaptations and actions. This is an example of descriptive title. So now, after understanding what the title is, we will move on towards the abstract. Now, what is an abstract? Abstract is a one paragraph summary of the whole paper. Nowadays, what is happening in electronic publication, the abstract mining is one of the most important. Like researchers, they try to retrieve the data, they try to retrieve the abstract, they go through the abstract, and later on they think of downloading, or later on they think of getting that paper. So once again, abstract is a one paragraph summary of the whole paper. Now, there are two types of abstract. So first is the informative abstract. Now, what is an informative abstract? Informative abstract is an abstract which consists of purpose, methodology, results, and conclusion. So we will see one example of informative abstract. So this is one of my paper. From my paper, I have just taken the abstract. So what this informative abstract consists of? It consists of scope or purpose. It consists of methodology. Now here methodology is nothing but whatever algorithm which I have proposed, and finally the results and discussion. So when these 3-4 parts are there in any abstract, it is nothing but the informative abstract. The second type of abstract is a indicative abstract. So indicative abstract, it consists of mostly the scope, argument and the conclusion drawn. So I'll give you one example of this very small abstract, that is an indicative abstract. So this indicative abstract, you can see it consists of only 2 parts, that is scope and conclusion. Now abstract. Now thematic scope wise in an hourglass model, it should answer these 4 questions. So what are those questions? Like, why do we care about the problem and the results? What problem you are going to solve, or what was done to solve this problem? Then results, what is the answer to this problem and what implication? Now this is a very important part of the abstract. What are the implications of your what we can say solution? What you can imply from that? This is the most important part. Now also I would like to list out the 4 things which should not be included in any abstract. So any information or conclusion that is not stated in the paper, it should be avoided. In hourglass model, the introduction starts with the broader part. So this broader part means you need to give first of all the general information. Then slowly and gradually you move towards the narrower part. So narrower part gives the what we can say perspective of specific problem. Okay, so basically the introduction should start with generalized statement. It should go to the narrower part with the specific problem. Also, the introduction should end with the 2 things. One is the literature review and second one is the organization of the paper. Now, while preparing the introduction, we need to understand these 3 important aspects. The first aspect is establishing a territory. Means what? As I told you, it should start with the broader aspect. So we need to first of all generalize the statements. So we need to make some general statements. So the importance of the subject, then you need to make some general statements and you need to present an overview. So after preparing the broader part, next is establish a niche. Establishing a niche means nothing but establishing a comfortable place. Means you need to reveal the research gap, you need to formulate a research problem, you need to continue a tradition if any, and so on. After establishing a niche, we need to occupy the niche. We need to occupy the comfortable position by intending to tell their own work, outline, and importance or characteristics of your work, review of the work, and outline of the work. So this is how you need to write down the introduction. As I told you, the introduction can end with a literature review. So what is a literature review? The information in literature review must relate to the problem. Now this is one of the important aspects. What happened? We review the paper, but sometimes this paper do not directly relate to the research problem, do not directly relate to your concept. We need to first of all understand that this should relate with your research work. It should address the different types of research literature with the citation. Now citation is very important. How to cite the paper is also a very important aspect. So we'll go to the citation. How to cite a paper? There are various ways based on number of authors, based on what information you need to put on. Let's say you are citing a paper having one author. So you can directly write in a parenthesis like Walters and you can write down the year. If there are 2 to 5 authors, so you can directly write down their surname like Lee and Crane, then you can put one comma and year and you can complete the parenthesis. Similarly, you can do with the 5 authors as well. Now, if there are more than 5 authors, we can write down the surname of first author by and writing et al. Now, here the word et, it is a Latin word, means alia, means even others are also there, and you can end it with the year. Now, even some of the people like to cite the paper with page number as well. So the way you can do is, you can write down the surname, you can write down the year, and then you can write down the page number in this format. Even there are other ways, like you can just write down the author name outside the parenthesis. Inside the parenthesis, you can write down 1996, like here it has been shown the year, and then you can tell what you need to write about that paper. And the most common way we use is, we can write down the year and the surname of the author, and we can write down whatever we want to write. These are other ways, like if there are 2 more works with the same author, so chronologically we can list out them. So if we have authors with the same surname, you can write down their years so that we can differentiate. And the last one, which we mostly use here in India, is we use the numbers, reference numbers, in either square bracket or the round bracket. So this is the way of citation of the paper. So these are some of the examples. Now next comes body of the paper. This is the most important part. What is the body of a paper? The body of a paper reports on the actual research done to answer the research question or problem identified in the introduction. Now this is the main body. This is the main part of your paper. Remember, the body is nothing but when you are giving the answer of how and what. Like what you are doing, what research you are doing, and how you are doing forms the body. So if I try to give one example, let me see, it opens. Yes, this is one of my paper titled Short Boundary Detection Using Radon Projection Method. Now this radon transformation is the body of my paper. So I have initially quoted the back history of the radon transformation. Here on the right hand side, you can see some of the diagrams showing the vertical and horizontal projection. Then later on, you can see the signal projection, you can see the geometric projection, and some of the important equations which I have derived has been quoted here. So this is the body of the paper, means the actual methodology, the actual technique, the actual way what you have done to find the solution of the problem in hand. So that is called as the body of the paper. Now the body of the paper are of 2 types, or we can say there are 4 types of bodies. There are 4 types of paper having different types of body. So first is in empirical papers. What do you mean by empirical? Means it describes material, data, the methodology, and the results. The second type of papers are case study papers. So here only the existing methods, existing techniques, existing theory or tools are studied. Next is methodology paper. Now these are the papers which we generally do in engineering and technology, which describes the novel method. And the last one is the theory paper. So this theory paper describes the principles, concepts, and models. So these are the 4 types of paper having the respective or corresponding body. The next part comes discussion. Now, if we try to recall, the introduction is the opposite of discussion. In a paper, we can write down the discussion, or discussion and conclusion, or results and discussion, or conclusion. Now, As I told you, in our glass model, it is exactly opposite of introduction. So what an introduction should have? It should have the presentation of background information and summary of result. Now this is very important part. In introduction, we cannot project our summary of results, but certainly the discussion should have it. Second most important aspect is it should have comparison of results. Now the comparison of results could be done with your own papers as well as with the others authors papers or researchers what they have done. The third point it should contain is conclusion or hypothesis drawn from the results. That is, what are the implications? And finally, the proposed follow-up research questions and outlook on further work or future work. So these are the most important four aspects should be incorporated in the discussion. Now the next part is bibliography. So bibliography or references, what it is? When we list out all the entries of the papers which you are using, either alphabetically or chronologically, is nothing but a references section. So as I told here that we can either list out them in alphabetical way or in a chronological way. So here I have just shown here if there is one author, how we can list out. If there are two authors, how we can list out. If there are multiple authors, how we can list it out in the references. Now, while writing any paper, the length of the paper on an average, it should be between 8 to 10 pages. It should include introduction, review of literature and discussion. If I talk about other formatting part, it should be double spaced. The font size could be 10 or 12. Mostly the papers are written in Times New Roman, Arial or Calibri. And the margin is usually 1 inch to 1.5 from top, bottom, right and left. And mostly there are two types of formats which are very famous. One is the IEEE format and other one is the single line format which we always used in Springer and other. So these are the research papers which I have referenced while creating this presentation. So this is what I just wanted to share with you. So thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for an interesting session. You have literally given us the detailed guide how to write a research paper.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, do we have question and answer session?
Yes, we have a question answer session. If any one of you have a questions, please share with our speakers. They're ready to answer your questions. I think ma'am presentation is also a self-explanatory session. So I think there will be no question from the participant end.
I think participants must be waiting for their own presentation that we can hear it.
No, ma'am, no, ma'am. Ma'am, really, your presentation is very insightful. Have all the details.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you
So
so much, ma'am, for the enriching speech and presentation. I'm sure we have learned a lot from it.
there is one more question that we have received.
Okay.
Uh,
Ma'am, there's a question. Can you publish a paper on single synthesis compound? Can we publish a paper on single synthesis compound?
Okay. I think you are working on some chemical or chemistry basis research work. Yes, certainly you can publish a paper on single synthesis compound also. But while publishing such papers, you need to also refer the in 360-degree angle what research has been done with this. And certainly you can do this. Any other question?
Yes, ma'am, we have. Do we have same steps in an action research? Do we
Uh,
follow the same steps in action
okay.
research?
Okay, let me tell you in a very global point of view. Let me tell you that research cannot be done in a very standard research way. Someone can go in opposite way as well. It is just how you try to propose your work to solve certain problem. Sometimes what happens when we go through some traditional or conventional way of research process, you may not get the results, but when you do some reverse engineering, when you try to find out in some another way, you may get the results. So it's not necessary that you should go in a standard way of steps only.
Thank you, ma'am.
Any other question is there?
No, ma'am, that's it.
Okay.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for clarifying the doubts in a simple and precise manner. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. I think there is one more
Yes,
question.
ma'am, we have a question. Is this we have add research gap in problem formulation?
Yes, this is one of the very important aspect when we form a research problem in hand. Like when you try to show the background, you yourself find out what is the problem. But you need to also refer at the same time what research work has been done on that problem. So you need to find out what is the research gap and how your research is going to fill that gap and how your research is going to add some things to this so that you will give solution to this problem. So certainly research gap is one of the very important aspect.
Thank you, ma'am, for all your
Oh,
answers. And we are getting very good comments in the chat box for your presentation, ma'am. Thank you very much.
thank you so much, Priyanka ma'am. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Uh,
I
so
think I
shall we
can
proceed?
leave now.
Yeah, that's the question there. There is a
Okay,
really that's a self-explanatory session, ma'am. People have very
okay.
little less doubts and they have very clear on their how to write a research paper.
Actually, I have just projected very simple presentation so that everyone can understand.
Yeah, that's the simplicity, but the thing is, it's very clear and it's self-explanatory, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am. If you have in future also any question, you can give it to me. I can mail the answers also if you want.
Ma'am, there is one question, one more question.
How to
Okay.
design a research methodology?
Okay. Now, as I told, research methodology is nothing but the body of your paper. Now, research methodology is the way how you are going to solve the problem. Now, research is done in every field, but the method you are, the tool which you are using. Now, let me tell you very frankly, use the tool which you are comfortable with. Like suppose if you are in engineering we have so many tools. Suppose if you are in computer field, we have so many other tools. So use the tool or to start using the tool which is very easy for you to understand, which is very easy for you to handle. Later on, you can change the tool and you can find out the results. Now, research methodology is the way, is the step by step solution to the problem. Now, while forming a synopsis, while forming a thesis statement, you need to first of all be very clear how you are going to solve this problem, what method you are going to follow. Now, what happens in a very deep research? Initially, you may think that I will use this method. But later on, you understand that this method is no more useful. You can even change that. So, gradually, when you go into the research, when you go deep into the research, you understand what methodology is to be used. And even while finalizing your methodology, your guide also plays a very important role as well.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Abhinav, so
Yes,
can
ma'am.
we proceed to
Yes,
the
ma'am.
next session?
Sure, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. I think I can leave now.
Yes, ma'am. Success is not the key to happiness. Happiness is the key to success. If you love what you're doing, you'll be successful. On this note, I'm elated to invite the five extraordinary research presenters whom we have with us today. The first presenter of the day is Dr. A.S. Nagalata, Assistant Professor in the Department of Commerce at Kanyaka Parameshwari Arts and Science College, Chennai, India. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Allow me to share my screen first. Ma'am, can you see my screen? Ma'am, is it visible? Abhinaya, ma'am?
Yes, your screen is visible, ma'am.
Okay, okay. Uh, shall I proceed, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Please proceed with the presentation.
Okay. Good afternoon, one and all. I was logged in for the day, and this is A.S. Naglata. I would like to share my research paper in the field of CSR is a winning mantra of corporate. So why have took as a CSR as a part of this? It's very a part and necessary for today's life. The COVID made a major impact to feel how CSR is very important for all the point. In case of CSR, it's not a new thought for Indian industry. It is deeply binded in our culture, and we are executing for so many years. So, as first in Indian ancient CSR that we say, the people who have wealth, they used to give a lot of money and donate the money for the poor people in the temple or any sort of required work in that nation. So CSR is only to be for part of that particular nation to bring them and see the need of the people and to fulfill and make them to with a proper standing sustainability life. Okay. As part of this, we say after the modern, the Western sort of thought corporate social responsibility speaks in this way. As we say, the first economic responsibility, then the philanthropic responsibility, legal responsibility, ethical responsibility. The Carroll have given a proper definition. What is the attitude of business person towards the corporate social responsibility? For any business, they need profit as a major part. Without profit, they cannot survive. They need the value of the shares and the value of the firm should go more and more and to have a good peak result so that the wealth maximization could happen for the shareholders and stakeholders. Okay, in that way. And secondary thing, they have to follow and accept the law of the land and to be very honored to do and execute the law as per the thing. And we say ethical responsibility here, you have to be accountable, transparent, and to be a trustworthy to prove your shareholders that you are concerned for them. So this is how the normal corporate social responsibility, according to Carroll, have said the pyramid form. As the first, the merchant fisherman have given in 1970, the CSR. According to him, there is one and only one social responsibility of a business to use its resources and engage in activity designed to increase its profit as long as it stay with the rule of the game, which is to say, engages on open and free competition without deception of fraud. This is what they want to tell you as a part of the CSR. We say a CSR, okay, it's about wealth, it's about power. So the company has a wealth, it's coming forward, they have a profit, they will do something with the profit. So profit when it is more and more, they don't know, like they keep on investing in many aspects, still they have a very good business. So it is very important to do a CSR, you need a profit and power. See, as we have a profit, probably you have a board of committee to accept the CSR and execute the money for the beneficial for all society and they connected with them with the stakeholders. And we say not only as a directors, they should connect with the values. Okay, so you have money, the board is ready, but what sort of value they connected with it? As been said by a famous person, the purpose of business to serve the society, said by the great legend of Tata Group of Company. This is how they have a value. The value which is completely connected and the ethics which is connected with the big corporate personalities that have been reflected in their business. So CSR, we need to have money, direct the board power, and as well as the value. And finally, it is about strategy. When you say strategy, where to apply, for what cost that we are be getting for that, and how the people are ready to get the benefit, what is the need of an hour, that is very important to identify that and spend your money for worthy and make the people to use as a benefit as much. So it is something like you spend less and the benefit will be the high. So cost effectiveness probably speaks here. So that is the reason of made me to choose the topic. The CSR is a mantra. As we know, like the because of the COVID, the people are start giving lot of fund. As few of the company, a Power Finance Corporation, Ambuja Cement, Coca-Cola India, SBI, Dalmia, and ONGC. This so long, the list goes on. So many corporates are coming forward and they're doing CSR for the need for the people and the country. So CSR is connected with all the corporates. So anciently the king were the power and now the corporate has the power. So this is the difference in the ancient with the modern. So that made me to choose as CSR as part of my study. And my objective of the study is to study the manager's understanding in CSR, to study the opinion on fund allocation on CSR activities. When I go through the review of literature, it's about Kinjal Path have said he have chosen a selected company and he identified the company who have been earns only the profit, but they have a less profit. They will be doing only charitable, supporting need for the people. So charitable is about taking care of their basic requirement like providing fund for the education and providing health and sanitation requirement. So this sort of supportive work they are doing. So Muruganandam study says about we have chosen only the MNC companies and MNC company using CSR for marketing strategy of building their image completely on that. I can give you a best example. Many Coca-Cola companies and other MNCs, so they are keep on doing some supportive activities to their community as part of their market strategy. We can see in India, ITC books are classmate books are there. Back of the classmate books, there will be called as an SICO. So it's about like you will learn if you take, you will be contributing money if you buy the book. every 1 rupee of this notebook will go for education of the people who will be prohibited to get education, like they'll be in some other way, they'll be somewhere. Okay, so now the methodology here, what I have applied, it is descriptive in nature. The study spotlights on managers' perception on CSR. A purposive sampling method is applied, and I have used the scale, the questionnaire, which is being framed by Christopher Oben in 1987. The scale consists of 24 statements. It's about for and against of CSR perception. And I have taken 100 samples from Chennai city. Only three corporates I have taken: IT sector, finance, and manufacturing. So these are the three major corporates that I have chosen. The turnover of the particular company is about more than 100 crores. My research applied in Chennai city. The finding says here, majority of the respondents are the chosen whom I have been sent the questionnaire are male. The majority of the managers were under the age group of 45, and majority of the managers were professionals. They are qualified for professional, and the people who have been a major part in my study is have 20 years of experience in their field. So I have chosen the people who have income level is more than 50,000, and the majority people are that category. And the corporate turnover which I have chosen, most of the corporate has 500 crores as their turnover, more than that. So I have applied standard deviation, ANOVA, and regression to analyze my study and to find the results according to that to match my objective. So in this way, standard deviation I applied to know how this question and that is deviated on maybe supporting the study for that. So the question I have chosen for fund allocations. Why fund allocations? Many studies have they have been focusing on activity of the CSR, but the fund allocation is a major part. Without fund, they cannot execute CSR. In this way, I have chosen the questions like have the annual budget allocation, which is there for CSR program. So we have departments separately for CSR activity. The organization provides namely allocation whether we need arrays for CSR activity. Sources are not sufficient to do CSR activity. Our firm is ready to support our profit for CSR activity. So these are the questions I have been chosen for to know about their fund allocation opinion and the aspects. So in this question, we can see one question which has high, mean, and less standard deviation. So the organization provides namely allocation whenever the need arises for CSR activity, which has the high, mean, and less standard deviation. This shows the study where the people, the corporate, the managers, they are really happy with their provision of the CSR activity, whatever given by the company. So as soon as they got the fund, they'll be executing the plan, and without any hesitation, the management is providing the fund for them to execute. And second one, the firm is ready to spend 2% of their CSR activity for their from the turnover. So it's also a positive symbol for to execute CSR. So now I have applied ANOVA. ANOVA is applied to identify the significant differences of mean of two independent variables. So here I applied two independent variables. About one is fund allocation, the other one is annual turnover of the company. So this study shows that the P is significant, statistically significant, and the result says here there is the significant differences between the earnings of a company on their opinion on fund allocation. So probably the earning is good, the provision will be good. Okay, so that is how they have. But here, when I apply the Turkey method, I identified the company who has below 100 crore or maybe 100 crore and above 500 crore, they have are connected in the same path line. And the people like the company who have a 100 crore to 500 crore as a turnover, they set to group separately. This deviation is because The newly beginning company and the company which is we have more than 500 crores, they have a challenge to face, because when you enter into the CSR, you want to do something unique. That is the thought of these two category people. Their earning is 100 crores and their earning is above 500 crores. They want to show the uniqueness. So what they find, there is one more issue in the case of company actually, that I'll tell you in this way. When you say the nature of business and nature of ownership, which has a major impact on CSR activity too. Probably, if you choose the company which is pharma, so pharma-based company, they'll be focusing on in the case of medical lines. When you say manufacturing company, they'll be focusing on the basic amenities. Okay. When you say IT and service sector, they'll be focusing more on education. So there is another way, like when you say there's a private company and public company, it's both is there. Some PSUs have standing orders, like they are some suggestion from the government to do certain activities under the CSR. So this is also a part of that. To the spending of money will be differed. Okay. So this is how, see, in case of nature of business, I have chosen manufacturing, IT service, and financial institution. This is also statistically significant towards the fund allocation and nature of ownership, like MNC, private company, and public company. In that way, also the opinion on fund allocation is differ, as I quoted before. Like PSU have their own standing order to apply a money for what aspects and what reason, and what sort of beneficiaries they expected to be fulfilled. So for the private companies, up to the management and up to the like innovative thoughts of the team of the people who was engaged in the CSR. Okay, so with that, so apply the regression. Regression model will tell you how this independent variable and dependent variable are significantly, statistically significant, have an impact on one other variable. I have chosen as a constant a perception of manager towards the CSR and the opinion on fund allocation. So while you applying this regression, it should have a continuous scale. Okay. So with that continuous scale of the both, I have been applied the regression. So in this, I found the R value and R square value, F value and P value. So the study says that there is impact. The relationship is not that much strong, that much strong. The study shows the value is less because the perception of the manager and the opinion on fund, something they are getting varied. As when I speaking to one particular manager, he said, "Madam, as being working in this particular company, we have some standing order. So we are need to follow that and what has been given us. If it is in my opinion, I can do that money in other way for the beneficiary and I have a different plan." So here the ethical value and the value of an individual has an impact on the behavior or maybe executing the CSR activity. So here the opinion on fund allocation probably have a less connection and impact with the perception of manager in the CSR. So I would like to conclude the study is about its majority of the respondent agreed that the end of the financial year there is a push to perform the CSR activity to show in the annual report as part of this. Even then, the most of the firms don't have a separate department for CSR. So if they want to execute the CSR, they will pick the volunteers from the company and they frame a group and they execute according to the plan and invention what they want to do it as a part of the CSR, and they do it. As soon as they have a budget, probably the management will be providing the fund on time. So here, one of the interesting thing, most of the manager agreed the fund is enough and sufficient for them, because they whatever the budget has been given, for that budget only the corporate is going to give. So they able to manage, so that they feel as in sufficient and supportive. But the corporate experts tax benefits on funds spends on CSR they expect the tax benefit. Like we, as they said, 2% and 3%, there must be a social cost, which is suggested by the Companies Act of 2013 of in case of CSR. But they will not claim any sort of tax benefit. What are the amount which is spent for social cost? That is the question of till here. And there is a one more problem they face, like in sort of any benefit, whatever they create for the community. For example, they have created a community hall for a particular area of a region, but they spend much of money, they spend everything for that to see. But who is going to take charge of it? So we're going to maintain that. That is a big problem for years together. So with this note, as per the CSR, it is connected, and the people have really a broad mind to spend for the need. With this, I'll put to an end of my study, and the result is this.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, we have Dr. Rinella Pinero, Assistant Professor and the Chair of Elementary Education Programs at Negros Oriental State University, Main Campus 1, Dumaguete City, Philippines. Over to you, sir. Sir? Sir, please unmute your device.
Okay, I'm
Thank
ready
you,
to
sir.
go.
Yes, sir, please proceed.
Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and good afternoon to all of you. And here in the Philippines, it's already good evening. Can you hear me? Okay. Now let me share with you my study entitled Origination of a Folkloric Dance, a Medium for Cultural Revival and Identity. This is in the field of culture and arts. Now, the objective of this study is to create and originate a research-based folkloric dance festival that tells a story about the local legend and cultural heritage of the place, which in this study is Barangay Tacloban, Dumaguete City, Philippines. The authors conducted series of purposive interviews to key informants who are local folks, and we call it lumad in our place, aging from 60 to 90 years old. Results revealed that the legend of the place, based on oral traditions, have three versions, but the commonality of the three versions was being associated to the existence of sigay, and this is the vernacular name of shell in our place, and their activity in the forested area of the place long time ago. Further, based on the descriptions and the characteristics that the key informants experts, the shell they have said to be abandoned before has the characteristics of the Taclobo. That it's letter K, T-A-K, a local name of giant clams, and we call it the Tridacna or Gaigas in scientific name. Now, majority of the key informants shared that the story of how the place got its name and the richness of its cultural heritage, however, is lost in terms of the residents' awareness, most especially the new generation. And this is now the research gap. That is why the researchers believed that by originating a dance festival could be a medium to revive the story and cultural practices of the place, which can be appreciated by the people since, since it is in a form of artistic presentation. And The Folkloric Dance Festival, which we created in our place, will be known as the Taclob Festival. And this is considered the first research-based barangay festival in Dumaguete City and a promotional tool to create a cultural revival and identity of the place in a form of dance, which is also the purpose of this study. Now, according to Gabao, in Philippine, the different festivals in the country have gone a long way of time and space and went beyond its roots, yet remain Filipino in soul and character. It traces the history, the beginnings, the present, and the future in various concepts intended for festival merrymaking and dancing. Likewise, as cited by Harris Pittman Waller in the book of Gabao in 2007, dance is a cultural universal and as such not only reflects the life ways of a period of time, but forms a cultural link in the past. Dance in its entirely reflects the gamut of culture where it belongs. In this note, our purpose of the possibility of creating a dance, I think, will really hit the target because it will be considered the medium of the cultural preservation. Because according to Tinagan, the richness of the country's heritage should be nurtured and preserved, and it unites the people. So, in short, it gives a local and national identity. Now, in same view, according to William Graham Sumner, in his book Folkways, as pointed out by Tinagan Reyes, gave some valid reason why mores of men cannot be authenticated. Sumner said, the origin of primitive costumes is always lost in mystery because when the action begins, the men are never conscious of historical action or of his or their historical importance of their acts. The origin is always far behind. That is why in this context, we have undertaken this kind of study. The statement of the problem. These studies sought the answers of the following questions. Number one, what is the legend and cultural heritage of Barangay Taclobo based on oral traditions? Second, what dance steps and movements peculiar to the origination of the folkloric dance can be created so that we can characterize the behavior of the Taclobo shell as described in the legend. At the same time, we wanted also to revive the cultural heritage of the place. What features in the legend cultural heritage are shown in the folkloric dance in terms of Gabao's contextual view of Philippine festivals, a prominent researcher also in dance. And the last one, what dance guide and production can be created based on the findings of the study. The methods used in the study, of course, this kind of study is a qualitative method of research. The survey method was utilized to gather important data in a means of actual observation, personal interview, collection and review of related data, taking specimen records, and also oral histories. Also, the researchers used the purposive approach to gather important information, which is also relative to the phenomenon of this study. Now, let's proceed to the findings and the discussion. For problem number one, Legend of Taclobo. There are three versions stated in the Legend of Taclobo. As what I have said in the abstract, mainly it focuses on the strange big bivalve cells or sigay that appeared everywhere in the place. And it has also have various mysteries that caused the people of our place to react. The activity is only a short citation, mainly on the closing of the bivalve shells that has going to make a peculiar noise, and the people in our place may coordination, and this is what we call nagtaklob, meaning the shell is closed. So from there on, the visitors will call us the nagtaklob, meaning closed. So at present, the place is known as Taclobo. Now, based on the results presented above, the researchers have to investigate more and search for concrete evidences on how these oral traditions be reliable in order to strengthen the claim as basis for the dance creation, which is going to feature the Taclobo. As you can see in figure number 1, this is the old photo of Miss Lorena Drive. As you can see, it was very clear that the story about the legend was already shared by the residents during that time, since significant elements found in the story are being manifested in the story and the decoration at the same time. Or if not, then there is a greater possibility that the legend might have happened in the past. Because according to Duran in 2000, legend is an account of an extraordinary happening believed to have actually occurred. Now, the researchers are not satisfied on the oral traditions. That is why we have to continue our search for evidence. And finally, we got an evidence, as you can see in figure number 2. It is a photo of the dead Taclobo specimen found in the place, and this was handed by one of the respondents. Now, to prove more that the specimen found has the significant relationship to the shell, as described in the legend, the researcher went to biology experts, as you can see in figure number 3, to ask the connection, at the same time to examine before. At the same time, its scientific classification, the behavior of the shell, and the characteristic, because these are the elements needed origination of our dance festival. Now, before the slide of our claim. Now, according to both experts, these are the biologists which we consulted, the evidence presented by the researcher through this actual specimen, we call it Taclobo, said that it has really the characteristic of the Taclobo shell. And the features of the shell are very similar to that of the Tridacna gigas, scientific name, known as Taclobo, and it's a local name in the Philippines. Hence, it can be implied that there is a greater possibilities of these Taclobo shells to exist in Barangay Taclobo in relation to the stories being shared by the key informants relating this phenomenon to science, and example folks about the legend of Barangay Taclobo, emphasizing the bivalve shells they saw before in the place, could be associated to Tridacna gigas, which are also found in some parts of the country, but not anymore in the place, because, especially at present, because the place is already being citified. In this note, it is very timely and relevant that we have conducted this kind of research in order to continue to preserve and revitalize our legacy, and especially the legacy of our ancestors. Now, another variable that we are looking into that will also help us out in the creation of that dance is the cultural heritage of the place. As you can see in the picture, our place is a typical barrio. Okay, the house is seen anymore in the place. The figure number 5 is where we usually do our recreational activities, and some local folks are also doing their own livelihood, like fishing. They're also catching fish, crabs, and etc. Now, in figures number 6, 7, and 8, these are really not seen in our place. That is why the researchers have to went to our nearby municipality so that we can associate the story of our local folks, the key informants, and give realization on the how they describe our cultural heritage so that we can highlight this one in our dance. Figure 6, that is our Rayos, is an open cart, and Tartanilla is a two-wheel driven vehicle. And this is also used as the livelihood of our place, or the people of our place before, as in a form of transportation. Now, since the story and the information gathered from biology experts were not enough, we have to went to Marine Laboratory at Silliman University, as reflected in the pictures here. So we went to the experts in Silliman Laboratory to check the behavior of the Tacloba shell. So the researcher was also given the opportunity to do actual observation on the characteristics and the behavior of the light reductance specimen, which are present in the laboratory. Now, why do I need to do that? So that I can be able to conceptualize a very good origination of the dance, that all elements are present so that we can have to tell the story about our place, because the purpose is really to revive and to revitalize our storage are already forgotten at present. Okay, at the same time, for cultural, the researchers have to go to other places to do actual simulation. In figure number 11, it is the illustration of the actual activity of pagsalok. This is how to catch fish, and it's under fishing. Figure number 12 is the illustration of how pagsag-up is done. This is a traditional way of fetching water from the river before, and we usually do that, but in the present times, it is not already practiced. Now, we have the pagpakang activity. We usually wash our clothes in the river, and we are using that pakang to wash out water, soap from the water, and especially soap from the garments. The illustration of how pamingwit is done, yeah, it's a traditional way of fishing. Now, to also manifest how lovable, how caring our people in the place, I have also created an illustration of merrymaking, and we call it, and I even call it pagudyaka. This is also a kind of steps that I have created for the dance. Now, from the data we have gathered in problems number 1 and 2, finally, we have able to create the holistic approach and create the origination of the dance using the contextual view of Philippine Festival according to Gabaw. Now, in movement creation, the list below are exactly the peculiar steps that I had or we had created. The first one is the nagtaklob step. Nagtaklob steps is really associating on the movement of the shell. The linga step is the movement of the swaying. And of course, the rest of the five down below are reflected in the cultural heritage of the place, on the livelihood to be specific. Now, in the concept structure, the concept of the folkloric dance, which we are creating for our plays, has been identified as legendary, cultural, and creative. But it mainly revolved around the interpretation of the behavior and characteristic of the clamshell we call Taclobo. And of course, we have the livelihood, the recreational activities, and the old fiesta celebration of the place. Now, for the dance techniques and meanings, it is giving the choreographers or whoever going to interpret the dance on the exploration of other folkloric steps that would jibe to the concept of our created dance. For the inventiveness and imagination, we have set quality that should be present in the entire dance repertoire. The three-dimensional Taclobo shells to be artistic in nature, the forested area of Taclobo before, and we have the various activities and livelihood in Banica River before, and of course the relevant costumes and headdresses, and we have also the old fiesta celebration in the place. And these are all manifested in the actual dance presentation. Now, for the problem number 4, we have all the base list already from problems number 1, 2, and 3. The researchers have created an instructional material. This one, Taklo Folkloric Dance Guide, this is an instructional book. And this is all, the one in the center is already the casing, the cover casing for our CD. So there are 2 outputs that we have created for our intention really to revive and to really preserve our heritage on the actual video presentation. Now, as you can see here on screen, this is the snapshots during the actual video coverage. And as you can see, the stories that are being told by our key informants and the way we get information and prove the claim of those information, relating everything, we have able to come up with these kind of elements. So it's only the snapshots of the actual video coverage, but there is a video presentation that will really tell the entire repertoire of the dance, which is also the output of the study. In conclusion, Barangay Taclobo got its name from the bivalve shell they called Taclobo, which was abundant in the forested area of the place. However, the story about it is not known by its people, especially the new generation. The cultural heritage of Barangay Taclobo in terms of its livelihood, recreational activities, the fiesta celebration was very simple, entertaining and vibrant. However, they are seldom being practiced at the present time. The created dance festival of Barangay Taclobo should pattern after the Tridacna Gigas, the Taclobo, and the heritage of the place. Now, the features of the legend and cultural heritage of Barangay Taclobo, as shown in the origination of the dance, in relation to Gabal's contextual view of Philippine festivals, should be present. And one of these is our concept structure, the movement creation, the dance techniques and meanings, and the inventiveness. And these include the originated dance steps and movements, the forested area of the plays, the three-dimensional Tardakna gigas or the Taclobo shell, and of course the Banica River, the traditional implements used for fishing, washing clothes, and fetching water, means of livelihood, the fiesta celebration, and the recreational activities in the place. As a whole, the dance guide and production are the output of the study. And this is in a form of instructional handbook and video, which is both entitled Taclob Folkloric Dance, a Guide. And these are considered the main instruments for cultural revival and identity of the place. Before I'm going to end my presentation, let me share with you these thoughts to ponder. According to Johann Huizenga, if we are to preserve culture, we must continue to create it. So, as cultural workers for many years, it has been our greatest passion to create and innovate something which can contribute to aesthetic, artistic, and cultural education in our place. Thank you very much, and thank you, organizing committee, for this opportunity to share our scholarly work. God bless everyone.
Thank you, sir. Before moving ahead, there's a gentle reminder for the paper presenters. Each presenter will be given a slot of 10 minutes. I request you to, each presenter will be given a slot of 10 minutes. Please comprise your presentation.
I'm done now.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, each presenter will be given the slot of 10 minutes. I request the presenters to stick on with the timings. Thank you. Yes. So the third presenter of the day is Mrs. A. Sajita Parvin, Assistant Professor in the Department of Corporate Secretaryship and Information Management at Justice Bashir Ahmed Syed College for Women, Chennai, India. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Am I audible, ma'am? Thank you, ma'am, for the opportunity given to me to just present my paper.
Ma'am, you're not audible. Could you? Ma'am, you're not
Am I
audible.
audible? Yes. Thank you.
No, ma'am.
I'm not audible?
No, ma'am. Could you please increase your volume?
Am I audible now?
No, ma'am.
Please let me check before it is mic is working. Only after that I enter.
Your mic is working, but your voice is very low.
Okay, okay. Am I audible now? Am I all right? Yes, ma'am?
I guess.
Because am I audible? Is it right now? May I proceed, ma'am?
Go ahead with presentation, ma'am.
Thank you for the
Uh,
opportunity.
Sanjita, it's better not to use the earplugs because your voice is very low.
Okay, ma'am. Am I clear now? Am I clear? Can I
No.
start with my presentation?
Yeah, you can start with your presentation, but you have to increase your volume as well.
I'm just sharing my screen.
Is there any problem, Sanjita?
Yes, ma'am.
You can share your screen from the down of the.
Am I am I right, ma'am?
Ma'am, your presentation is not shared. It is not on screen, ma'am. Yes, yes,
But it's sharing a window,
yes,
ma'am.
ma'am. Yes, you can go ahead with the presentation. Thank you.
So my presentation is on the topic 360-degree analysis of warmth and support of employees in automobile companies in Chennai City. And organizational climate is the core circle of human environments in the boundaries of which the employees work. The continued existence and development of any organization is directly proportional to the favorable climate it provides. Hence, warmth and support was identified as one of the significant factors included in organizational climate. So when we learned about warmth and support from the previous studies, it had like Eisenberger and a few members have studied warmth and support in 1990 and came with the conclusion that employees who perceive high levels of social and organizational support feel obligated to repay the organization through positive attitudes and behaviors. And a study happened in 2011 by Foodie and his fellow mates, and he came with the conclusion that warmth and competence govern social judgment of individuals and groups, and these judgments shape people's emotions and behaviors. Through these behaviors, they communicate and manage the impressions they make on other employees and organizations. So after learning the impact of warmth and support on employees, I just wanted to apply that on automobile industry. The problem of high absenteeism and lower performance reflect the low level of satisfaction and commitment among the employees. And that problem was more acute in manufacturing organizations like automobile companies. Therefore, as previous studies have helped us to understand that warmth and support increases commitment and involvement, a study on perception of employees towards the warmth and support in automobile companies was carried out. My objectives were to study the employees' perception about warmth and support in automobile companies in Chennai City and to examine the relationship between warmth and support dimensions and the employer branding in the company. So the methodology, what I applied for learning that is a questionnaire with a 5-point Likert scale was prepared and it was distributed to 400 employees in leading automobile companies. And finally, 292 completely filled in applications were collected, and that was taken for study, and descriptive analysis, factor analysis, and correlation analysis were applied to get the data. And when I looked at the demographic data, out of 292 respondents analyzed, 182 belong to the age group of below 30, 62 respondents belongs to the category of 31 to 35 age group, 64 36 to 40, and 58 were above age group of 40. And when experience was taken into account, 33% of the employees were under 5 years experience, below 5 years experience, and 25% were under the experience of 11 to 15 years. 20% of the employees were working for more than 15 years but less than 20 years. And 14% and 8% of the respondents were under the category of 6 to 10 years of experience and about 20 years of experience, respectively. And as I've taken 360-degree analysis into account, warmth and support was analyzed in 4 different dimensions: one from management, superior support, team support, and other co-worker support. And the screen gives you the details. It's from the mean perception of the respondents on the management support. We learned that management, that is, employees are having positive perceptions towards the statement. Management believes them. Management treats them fairly. Management provides enough resources to perform the job, and it gives them clean and well organized working environment, because all these mean values are more than 3 out of 5 point scale. But with regard to management seeks the involvement of employees and their opinion when making important decisions, they use 2.6 less than 3, which indicates they are having negative opinion about this and which requires extra attention from the management. And the screen gives you the details of the main values of the perception of employees towards superior support. And from the screen we learn that from the table, from the diagram we learn that the employees are more positive towards the superiors when they give helpful feedback and when they listen to the when they delegate the authorities and when they are giving them good ideas and they are able to communicate freely with the superiors. But when it comes to listening to them for new ideas and creative ideas, and the employees are not happy with their superiors, and therefore they expect their superiors to listen to their new ideas because the mean score of that statement is less than 3, it expects us to get into that particular area in detail. And the next, it is the team member support is concerned. The employees are more happy about the roles and duties which are made clear to them when they are entering into the team. And work group operates effectively as a unit. And team members give need-based support to perform the role effectively, and it is effectively managed by the team leader. And because the main values of all these 4 statements are above 3, it gives them, they are all positive about it. But when it comes to employees taking responsibility for the problem, the main value is just neutral. It indicates they are not happy with that attitude of their own team members, that they are not taking responsibility of the problem. When it was other workers, that is other department workers and other team workers, their support is concerned, employees are positive that they help each other in completing the task, and employees are very informal and able to discuss even their personal problems, and employees have high good skill, right skill to perform the task, and individuals, they appreciate each other for their personal contribution. All these statements are given by the employees with mean values more than 3. But when it comes to problem, when there is going to be disagreement between employees, they don't have a proper like problem addressal schemes or mechanism. That is what pointed in this particular statement with a mean value of less than 3 from them. So individually, we have analyzed each dimension of warmth and support. When it is overall analysis of the warmth and support is concerned, the employees are more positive towards co-worker support and team support, which is reflected in the mean values 3.5 and 3.4. And their positive value is something that their ranking is somewhat less with regard to
Ma'am,
and superior support. Yes, ma'am?
ma'am, there's a request from our side. We couldn't hear your voice. Could you please complete your presentation?
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you. The next presenter is Professor Warren Jimeno, who holds an MA in Physical Education and is teaching physical education courses at the of Negros Oriental State University, Dumaguete City, Philippines.
Hello, good evening from the Philippines. Good afternoon, maybe there in India, ma'am. Thank you so much for the introduction. And thank you as well. Before I start my presentation, I would like to thank the international research community, for giving us the opportunity to at least share our endeavors and our researches to all of you. And thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity. This is a very, very enriching experience for us, most especially in our field of education. I'll share my screen. Okay, is my screen visible, ma'am?
Can you please close the YouTube from your end? Is it YouTube open at your end? There is an echo.
I'll try to see. Like a YouTube. Adalas are already.
Abhinay, can you please forward the session?
Yes, ma'am. Next, we have Dr. Carlo Bernaldez, Associate Professor 5 and the Director of Elementary Education Programs at Negros Oriental State University, Dumaguete City, Philippines. What you, ma'am?
Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, okay. Let me just share my slides. Excuse me, sorry. Share slides, share screen. Yeah. Can my slides be visible now, ma'am? Dr. Craig, please help me here.
No, not yet.
Uh, Not yet. Okay, I'll try to fix it. Di lagi mo share slides, Dr. Craig. Here, mana ganina. Okay, share screen, and then click dayon. Share. Can my share now? Can my screen now, ma'am, or can my slides are now visible?
Yes, ma'am. It is not really visible.
This one, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Please proceed with.
Okay. Can I now proceed?
Yes, ma'am. Please proceed with the presentation. Your screen is visible.
Okay. Okay. So first is the title. Of course, good evening, Philippines, and good evening, India. I am Carlo Bernaldez, a director of the Department of Physical Education here at Negros Oriental State University in the Philippines. And being the last, I would always believe that you're always fastened with a compromise advantage in terms of time and audience attention, but I will try my best to really make my presentation really very brief, short, and very manageable. So let's begin with the title. It's Kasal Dawinanon, meaning a traditional wedding dance of the municipality of Dawin in Negros Oriental, Philippines. And so let's begin with the keywords. And what are these? We have kasal, we have traditions, we have wedding, we have dances, literature, and production. Now, what are the objectives and the scope of the study? The study aimed to describe and document the wedding dance rite of the local folks of the municipality of Dawin in Negros Oriental, Philippines. Moreover, aimed to preserve the local folks' cultural heritage and tradition. Findings then served as the baseline data and content of the dance literature production of the wedding dance. Let me start with a very short introduction as I coined this from Kurt Sachs' casing in 2007. The dance is the mother of the arts. Music and poetry exist in time, painting and architecture in space, but dance lives at once in time and space. And in addition to, according to our one of the national artists for dance in the Philippines. We have national artist late Lor Orosa Gukenko, 1980, stated that the use of movements has largely been confined to Aquino's verbal and directional system, arranged into figures and fitted into counts and movements. This is exactly how the researcher worked to providing basic elements to produce the complete dance literature of the traditional wedding dance in the municipality of Davao. Now, what are the probes? No, specifically, the study sought to the following. We have what are the traditions practiced by the Dawians, meaning the locals in the municipality of Dawin. How are these traditions preserved and promoted by the local folks to the younger generations? What customs, traditions, practices are reflected? What are the features of the wedding dance rite in the municipality of Dawin? And what dance literature and production can be proposed based on the findings of the study? Now, I got one really very significant for for this study, which will benefit the future researchers, is specifically the methodology used and the results of this study will then serve as the guide to future researchers to properly conduct ethnographic researches, particularly in the area of dance. And let's go to the research methodology. The design utilizes the ethnographic method designed to systematically record human culture, specifically in dance and other forms of human arts. And the research environment, this was undertaken and conducted in the municipality of Dawin, which is 15 kilometers south of the capital city of Dumaguete, of Negros Oriental, the city of Dumaguete. Who are the respondents and the informants of the study? These were the old folks, the local choreographers, dancers, municipal officials, tourism officers, and local comparsa musicians, on 13 consultants or experts to enrich the data. For the instrument, the study utilized the interview guide questionnaire, personal interviews, and focus group discussion with key respondents and informants were actually conducted. Data gathering. The initial data and results of interviews regarding the wedding dance right last 2009 really made the researcher push to the limit, particularly in coming up with evidences to prove the gap. The data were preceding the scheduled focus group discussion or FGD, as well as the personal interviews and performance of the wedding dance with old folks of the community. Now, first, in figure one, it was it is illustrated here that I had a courtesy call with the mayor then of the place to inform the local government unit that I will be conducting such study. And then I made a personal interview with the vice mayor, who is also an expert of the wedding dance traditions of their locality, because he is a lumad, meaning an old folk of the place. And then I went crossing the sea to visit another island to check with Madame Nazarene Tompong, the researcher of a closely similar wedding dance of an island province of Siquijor, 30 minutes by boat from the city of Dumaguete, to really validate some of the queries. And then dance steps consultation with Ma'am Alfreda Lagudas, one of the oldest dancers of the traditional wedding ceremony in the locality, and with some personal interviews with a kagon or an errand who happens to have jobs of, you know, uh, uh, bringing the best message from the groom's soon to be groom to the soon to be bride. And then we have interview with Manang de la Torre, one of the famous Pinokpok in charge for weaving. And then I went also consulting the dance expert in the person of Mrs. Rosita Ozoa, one of the original dancers. And then music consultation with Lolo Filizardo Bais, the main and the man behind the original melody used in all the traditional wedding dance ceremonies of the locality. And then I went interviewing also one of the experts, dance steps and context consultants with consultations with Dr. Peter Dayot at Dawinanon, and an expert of the traditional wedding rites of the locality. And then with Professor Bernard Araula, um, interviewing some of the terminologies used in the traditional wedding ceremony and consultation of props and implements used in the traditional wedding dance rites. And of course, the final transcriptions of the musical score of the dance, including the melodies made by the researcher to complete the organic score with the music or the rondalia expert, Mr. Bibiano Tuayon. The researcher, with the respondents and the informants, conducted a focus group discussion with key informants and then went through dance step demonstration with local folks who are dancers in the traditional wedding ceremonies, and then familiarization and practice session of recording for the recording of the musical score with the Dawin Mabuhay Rondalia members. And then I went also in a form of consultation visit with the biologist, Professor Rosita Catarata, and then the trial recording of the musical score for the dubbing, ready for the creation of the musical score. And then, of course, the costume pictorial and documentation based on the findings of the study and based on the informants' suggestions and recommendations for the model Solili dancers and the model couple for the wedding dance. And then we went through on-location recording of the musical score, and of course, final instruction and demonstration done by the researcher to the dancers. And of course, figure 21, the invigorating smile of the researcher and just right pause of the dancers of the Kasal Dawinanon right after the video production show that the entirety of the research work was really a job well done. Now, I went through the validation in 3 phases. We have phase 1, initial interest of the researcher to make a dance literature of this unpublished wedding dance, began in the year 2009 with the original write-up of the wedding rite from the old files. And then the conceptualization of how the data were gathered was considered, such as what was the dance like during this time period. The proposed dance literature was read and interpreted through a seasoned or by seasoned choreographers on the clarity of directions, specifications of all the details, and that were given a highest approval by them. So that the data were treated with a thematic control analysis and qualitative analysis were employed in interpreting the data, in which all the filed notes, recorded interviews, written documents, photographs, video footages, and even recorded demonstrations from the key informants, respondents were considered in interpreting patterns of meaning. Findings. The following were the salient findings of this scholarly study. Number 1, before the wedding dance rite, the newlywed couple is carried on a conventional cart or locally known as rayos, fully decorated with colorful flowers and other adornments, but heading towards the bride's house where visitors, relatives, and parents are awaiting for the reception while accompanied by the comparsa or string instrumentalist. Number 2, and during the wedding dance rites, the following were uncovered. Pagnog, balani, o lumbak sa saging. These are terms. Next, pagsudlay sa kinasal sa makatulo, or combing of the hair of the bride, pagbuong sa sagob og kulon, or the use of earthen jars, pag-agak sa kinasal, or cuddling of the newlywed, pagsaboy sa bugas, or the sprinkling of the rice grains, paghugas sa kamot o sa kinasal, washing of the hands, pag-inom sa tubig nga adunay dahon sa kalipay o puti nga bulak, drinking of a purified water with a specialized flore that is used only for the ceremony. Then paghatag sa bahawang hungot or paya or the native container for food. Pagtagay sa tuba para sa patatay or the giving of the native wine. All these costume and traditional practices are reflected with the pandango or coined from the term fandango, base steps combined with an arm movements in their local terms such as katahuran, pandango kalipay, pandango kabig, pandango kupot, pandango kinugita, pandango hangyo, pandango inuwak, pandango lanat pukas, pandango ekes, and the saludo sulili. These terms are the basis of creating the whole dance repertoire in which I will be sharing to you the link so that you will be seeing all these terms based pandango based terms that I actually created based on the interview and focus this group this the answers of the informants and of course during the focus group discussion. The dance steps are considered rural suite and classified as wedding. 5. There are special flore used in the wedding dance rites, specifically the kalipay or the San Francisco, or we call it Codeum variegatum, the kalipay platito or the Polyecious scotillera, the white orchid, and of course revealed the white flower used in the rite is found to be famous Phalaenopsis orchids, locally known as mananaw, tigre, or the mariposa. Next finding, the music is in 3/4 time signature. The fabric used for the costume is the fine abaca fabric or the sinamay pinukpok, a floral printed cotton fabric in a tail design skirt, and the white silk tailed or the inukugan skirt with a white veil for the bride. The existing dance literature of the wedding dance rite of the Dawinanons contains a brief narration of the rites.
Thank you, ma'am.
Oh my God. Dr. Craig, nawala lagi ko.
Ma'am?
Yes, yes.
Ma'am, we have a request from
Share
us
screen.
that your time is up. Could you please complete your session?
Okay. So I would like to make only a very special conclusion that there were no initiations on the cultural preservation and promotion for the wedding tradition of the Dawinanans, particularly for the younger generation. And I want all of you to visit this link so that you could see the whole of the dance repertoire.
Thank you, ma'am. Professor Warren?
Of the Kasal Dawinan. Thank you so much. Good evening.
Thank you. Ma'am, do we have Professor Warden?
Yes, Abhinaya, please forward the session. We will take a presentation later on. You can inform Dr. Warren as well. I just add in this too.
Okay, and we're back. Thank you so much. Are we good to go?
Dr. Warren, can you please shorten your presentation within 5 minutes because we
Yeah,
already have a
yeah.
late on time.
Yes,
So that
yes, ma'am. Okay, that would be good. All right, may I start now?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
All right. Okay, is my are my slides visible already on the screen, ma'am?
No, sir. So there's much noise from your end.
Yes,
it's
somebody
better
is
if you
actually online.
close this
All right.
YouTube. Abhinay, please take ahead the session for the valedictory. So because other people are waiting for us.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. We have come to the end of our paper presentation session. I would like to take this opportunity to thank all the paper presenters for sharing their knowledge with us today. Thank you. A dream you dream alone is only a dream. A dream you dream together is reality. This brings us to the valedictory session of today's conference. It gives me an immense pleasure to invite Dr. Kalpana Gopalan IAS, Additional Chief Secretary at Youth and Sports Department, Government of Karnataka. She is one among many national and international university panelists. Ma'am is also known for her motivational speeches with complete rigor and energy. We welcome you, ma'am. Over to you.
Thank you so much. Good evening to all of you. Thank you all for being here on this Sunday evening. I congratulate the organizers at IJSRW for arranging this important conference in these difficult times. When one is invited as a chief guest for a valedictory session, it generally means that one is an afterthought, the last resort, when no one else was willing to give up their Sunday or their weekend. But when expectations are low, it is easier to exceed them. And that is the silver lining of my Sunday clouds. I'm not going to give you a few conformist closing remarks. I will instead try, albeit briefly, to give meaning to this weekend that all of you willingly sacrificed for participating, presenting, and listening in this conference. I will address just one question. Are theory and practice completely dichotomous, or can there be a resolution between the two? The theory practice debate has always engaged me, as I am a practicing administrator who also moonlights as an academic. When Immanuel Kant wrote, "That may be correct in theory, but it is of no use in practice," he unleashed a debate that has reigned for 3 centuries. Over the years, the theory practice debate has become marked in fields like sociology, management, organization theory, and public policy. These areas, these disciplines, involve groups of people who, unlike doctors, engineers, and scientists, do not rely on technical knowledge for their expertise. These people are practitioners, people who can be counted on to do their job, but not necessarily to define it. A number of reasons lie behind the antipathy between theory and practice in the practitioner-based fields. Let me highlight just a few. First, theory cannot capture complexity. Practitioners criticize academics as living in ivory towers, being out of touch with the real world. Second, practitioners are heterogeneous. They come in many levels and flavors. Even if a theory deals with a specific issue, policy, or program, its audience is varied and it cannot cater to all. Third, normative differences complicate any translation between scholarship and action. Theory is concerned with what ought to be and ignores the process and politics of implementation. Fourth, a frequent complaint is that theory does not fit local reality. Third world scholars largely refer to foreign sources of information and guidance, while practitioners take counsel in the local managerial staff and their own experience. Finally, a theoretical education merely produces better theorists, not better actors or managers. To know about leadership does not make one an effective or responsible leader. Rather, skills and sensibilities in applying those skills are needed. Theorists have their complaints too. Academics describe practitioners as too concerned with nuts and bolts, unable to see the big picture. They contend that to expect quick, practical, and useful answers in complex contexts is unrealistic and unfair. Yet, despite the theory-practice dichotomy being so obvious and self-evident, I would still assert the difference between theory and practice in theory is much more than the difference between theory and practice in practice. Now, why do I say this? Today, there is globalization of knowledge and practice. The old mode of ad hoc situational problem solving no longer holds good, and drawing patterns and lessons from experiences elsewhere is becoming an imperative. Hence, practitioners increasingly have to rely on the knowledge of global practices that scholarship alone can reveal to them. Further, practitioners have implicit theories too, and such implicit theories influence on how they interpret and understand the world around them. Practitioner theories may derive from personal experience or be informally acquired from colleagues or learned from private study or formal education and training. For instance, the civil service across the world sees itself as neutral, apolitical, able to tell truth to power. So, a practitioner theory may not be very different from a published theory, but it is tuned to the context by the personal experience of the practitioner. Now, as we look at theory in professional disciplines, the bridging of the gap between theory and practice becomes a possibility. In professional education and action, the clear, hard lines between theory and practice become blurred. Knowledge from several disciplines is of potential relevance in fields like management and public policy. These disciplines use theories from a range of formal disciplines, appropriating and resituating them according to their own professional contexts. Therefore, as Engelhardt argues, theory and practice are just two halves of a whole. She rejects the idea that theory is irrelevant to day-to-day practice. The assumption that practice does not need theory is tantamount to setting sail in a ship without first possessing knowledge of navigation. Practitioners who assume that practice can be effective without the parameters set by theory find themselves simply reacting to whatever the day brings. We call it firefighting in the civil service. Conversely, assuming that theory does not need practice is comparable to setting a course without the ship itself, confident that the course is right for any ship, regardless of its cargo, crew, or ownership. Without practice, where is the ability to field test? What is there to examine or measure without practice? Theory and practice are thus interdependent. So, it is time for theorists and practitioners to kiss and make up. Practitioners and theorists must realize that they are married to each other and have been for some time. Even if this marriage is not comfortable, it is necessary, and neither divorce nor separation is possible. This provides us an alternative starting point to explore the nature of the theory-practice resolution. Let us, for instance, take the example of the Fabian thinkers Sidney and Beatrice Webb. Their classic studies of local government and poor law administration in England combined rigorous research with practical reform. The world is now going their way, and so should we. But for this marriage to work, we need to understand theory in a much wider sense than hitherto. Any interdisciplinary activity embodies a complex network of historical, social, psychological, political, economic, and intellectual factors. The concept of interdisciplinarity is important to solve problems and answer questions that cannot be satisfactorily addressed by using singular methods or approaches. So, all that brings me to today. The International Conference on Research Outlook, Innovations and Research Trends is exactly what the doctor ordered. Not only has it attempted to bridge the theory-practice divide, but it has also brought in a cross-disciplinary understanding of practical problems. I congratulate all of you, organizers, participants, speakers, presenters, and guests for being with IJA SRW in the last 2 days. Yours indeed was a weekend well spent. Thank you all and have a great evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
I have to leave, so thank you all so much.
It's my honor to invite Dr. A. Azad, Registrar of BSA Crescent Institute of Science and Technology, Chennai, India. Sir has been the Director of Center of International Affairs, Anna University, Deputy Director for the Center of Research at Center for International Affairs. He has been the Professor at the Department of Manufacturing Engineering in Anna University. Sir has been the backbone for various administrative functions that includes student and staff exchange, awareness programs on studies abroad, special programs for researchers, foreign language programs, technical talks, international conference with partnering university, summer school, hostel. He has also played a pivotal role as a coordinator, project manager, class advisor, class committee chairman, academic council member, member of result processing board, and faculty in charge for student placement. Sir has written resourceful books on the fundamentals of computer-aided manufacturing, technical training of employees in supply chain management, and also a part of chapter on microprocessor. He has been a key player of professional bodies, which includes Indian Institute of Production Engineers, Indian Institute of Mechanical Engineers, Additive Manufacturing Society of India, and Quality Circle Forum of India. I once again welcome you, sir.
Good evening to all of you. Are you able to hear me well?
Yes, sir.
Good evening to all of you. Please respond. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, first of all, I congratulate all of you for taking this international conference to a very successful conclusion. Respected, the members who are present here, Dr. Kalpana Gopalan, IAS, Professor S.S. Rajput, Professor R. Shanti, Professor Ayub Khan, other coordinators of this program, my dear researchers, students, and other faculty members. A special welcome to the international participants from various countries. I am very happy about the title of this international conference. It is on research outlook, innovations, and research trends. Very vital titles for today's scenario. I'm also impressed by the number of countries which are participating: Italy, Ukraine, Uzbekistan, Russia, Romania, Philippines, and India. These are all the things that I have seen from the card that I have received. It is a fantastic combination of countries which can collaborate, and then we can take it to the next level. When it comes to the international cooperation in research and innovation, it is going to grow and grow. I'm very happy that many universities and institutes are part of this international conference. After becoming familiar with the research in our institutes and universities, we should further take it and then convert it into student exchange, research collaboration, and signing of memorandum of understanding. So these are all the work that we may have to do as a follow-up of this international conference. When it comes to innovation, especially, I know that universities are now very familiar with research, and a lot of research is going on in almost every university in the world. The emphasis today is on innovation. If we will go for both research collaboration and also collaboration research, it will be really beneficial for our universities and the institutes. Why innovation is very important today? Because of two reasons. One is short product life cycle and the short technological life cycle. These are the two things. Any product that you have bought 3 or 4 years before is outdated today. Any technology that has come has changed. Within a few years, you have seen that when it comes to mobile communication, 3G, 4G, and now we are getting into 5G. Whatever you purchased your mobiles, they are outdated within a short period of time. Similarly, whether it is technological processes or products, everywhere things are changing. By the time we complete our conversation about electric cars, now they are speaking about electric trucks. Okay, there are electric motor boats, electric boats and ships. So, as universities and institutes, we should be part of this change. Our work is becoming much more and more relevant. Since the talents, IQ, ideas are spread all over the world, international collaboration is a big solution to face the challenges faced in innovation and research. Research and innovation have now become more complex. It is because of the accumulation of a lot of knowledge. It has become very complex. An interesting thing, if you look at the industry, earlier only large industries, big industries had research and innovation. But now small and medium scale companies and organizations are going for research, innovation, and international cooperation. They are very fastly coming with collaboration. Even the startups have now international collaborations. Earlier, research and innovation was centralized and internalized. That means any factory will have its own R&D department, and what they do is the research. But now, due to the demand by the society, all over the world there is cooperation both in research and innovation. Instead of each one trying to find some certain research findings or innovative products, what is now in vogue is the knowledge exchange and the mutual learning. So our universities and institutes have a lot to learn from each other. We have a lot of knowledge to exchange. One more good thing about international collaboration is the increasing similarity of technology. For example, the same type of computers we are using, the same type of processors, equipment, even there's a common language, programs, various reports, many things are becoming similar. So scientists from one country is able to go to another country and easily familiarize themselves with all the technology and the methodology. So we have to take all these things as an advantage. We must benefit from this international system. Since everything has become global, research and innovation also should become global. And I hope the people who have gathered here for this international conference from various countries will come together for further cooperation on research and innovation. I look forward to it. I thank the organizers for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, I'm elated to invite Dr. Asma Anwar Isa, Professor, Plant Protection Institute, Egypt. We welcome you, ma'am. The screen is yours.
Thank you. A very good afternoon and warm welcome to all of you to this valedictory session. I would like to introduce myself. I am Asma Anwar. I am a professor of economic entomology, Planet Protection Institute, Dubai, Egypt. I am a head of Department of Beekeeping. Bees mean food, health, and beauty. I would like to thank Dr. Priyanka and Dr. Bishant. They let me now among of you. I would like to thank you, everyone. I am sure that you had 2 days of very productive and fruitful discussion, which makes happiness and satisfaction. So congratulations about your conference. Please learn us like your conference, like learn us work, love, and cooperation. It was very nice to one of your work in this conference. I hope next year we will together with us in India without COVID-19. I wish everything. At last, I want to say thankful for you all participants and committee. Thank you for all my colleagues and researcher, doctors, everyone. I say thank you very much to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I would like to call Ms. Priyanka to deliver the vote of thanks.
What?
I would like to say thank you to all my organizing committee, everyone who are the pillars of this conference, and all the honorable and most valued members. I really want to thank you all for your time and efforts. We can't imagine this conference. It's, I would say thank you to all as you are the whole pillars of the event. I may like to express my sincere thanks to Dr. S.S. Rajput. He's a guru of guru, and a great personality. You always required your blessings with us. I would like also thanks to Vilas Parande sir, Principal Arvind Kavli College of Engineering, Satara. He wanted, he support all of us in all the arrangement prior to and the post conference. He encouraged youth to involve in the research activities. I also like to thank Dr. Shanti for all your motivation and your support to make the conference, and your great work speaks everything, ma'am. I would like to thank Dr. Jasdeep Kaur Dhami, ma'am. You are very wonderful personality. I learned very from you how to deal with any situation. Thank you for all your support, ma'am. I would like
Thank
to
you,
thank
Priyanka.
Dr. Ayub Khan Dawood. I have a very little time with him, but I noticed that he's a great leader and a team builder. You know very well how to handle the team. It's very unique quality. You always extend my thanks to the whole team of Dr. Ayub who support us in the review process to effective making effectively and maintain the quality of publication. Thank you, sir. I extend my thank you and namaste from India for the Dr. Alim Nasser Islamko for all your efforts to get the conference successful. And because of your response and your support, we have a great response from the Uzbekistan. I would like to thank Dr. Neelam Ghuge for he's a head uh, electrical department, JSPM College. We are thank you for all your efforts. Because of your efforts, we get a good response for the conference. I would like to extend my thanks, special thanks to Dr. Prashant Chaudhary. You played a very important role for this wonderful conference. Whole idea behind this conference, it came from you. You are a very respected advisory board of International Journal of Advanced Study and Research Work. You always give very meaningful advice to us. A very big thank you to sir. I would like to thank you to all the review board members of International Journal for ICORIT 2020, that Dr. Sunil Rathore, Dr. Shushma Singh, Dr. Priyanka Dave, Dr. Prashant Malu, Dr. Cherry Bhargav, Dr. Bijendra Singh, all other whom I am not say the names, but I would like to extend my thank you to all of you to maintain the quality of this conference publication. And thank you very much. And I would like to thank you, Dr. Craig Refugo, who are from the Philippines. Because of him, we get a good response from the international countries as well. Thank you, Dr. Refugo.
Imagination is the highest form of research, and we hope that this conference has triggered that imagination within all of you here. We, on the behalf of the organizing committee, would like to extend our deepest gratitude to each and every one of you who made this conference a grand success. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Priyanka. It all started with the international webinar, the psychological and behavioral dimensions, 6 months back. I know her only for 6 months, but it seems I know her for a lifetime. And we became so very friendly, I should say. And I used to take more time with her. And I think interfere in everything, whatever she does. But it's a learning experience for both of us. And that is the way which gave me a thinking like I can reach out to many people internationally also. And this is an important medium of communication. That is my first webinar. Please know that is my first international webinar. There were 17 countries participated and more than 1,000 people were there. And that was an eye opener. Then from then, there's no stopping. I did many webinars and other things, and I did virtual summit with Ayub Kansar also, and another college, and that was also a great success. And this 3 months back, when Priyanka called me and said, "Ma'am, shall we do one?" I just grabbed it, and then initially it were 6, then 7, then it went to 18. I was just thinking how to manage. I know it is, but for Priyanka, nobody would have managed this show, really. And I'm just speaking from my bottom of my heart rather than just to please you on your face. There's nothing to please. And I thank Dr. Prashant Chaudhary also. I hear through Priyanka that you were behind the show, you were there, but my contact point is only through Priyanka. Even yesterday night, we used to speak for half an hour, 30 minutes, 45 minutes. Please remember, I never speak more than 5 minutes. My student, my scholar is there. I never speak over the phone more than 5 minutes, except it is very relevant. But to Priyanka, it's very exceptional. Half an hour also, sometimes 45 minutes also. That shows our interest, our wavelength is same, and we wanted to do some good research, something good to the society. We will definitely keep in touch, and we will do something more and more and more. And this is just a beginning. Thank you, Priyanka. So thank you, Dr. Ayuban, sir.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
So in fact, I have
Thank
to
you, ma'am.
thank.
But it's very a team effort. It's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
an individual effort. So don't give all the credits to me. It's a team effort.
No,
We have lot
yes,
many
ma'am.
people.
starting point.
No,
Starting
no,
point,
but
right?
I have to thank Dr.
No, the
Shanti. She
starting point
only.
is Dr. Prashant Chaudhary. He came
Oh,
to me
okay.
with the idea.
Okay.
Okay.
No, to me, you are the face.
No, no,
For
Dr. Shanti
Ayushman
only
sir, maybe
introduced
I
me.
am the face. To you, I am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah. So Crescent, then I thought because you are involved science, engineering, and other thing, I thought Crescent will play a greater role. And,
Yes,
uh,
ma'am.
yeah, Ayuban sir also immediately he accepted it. Maybe
Okay,
you
ma'am.
got an idea. Then later I came to know Dr. Prasant Chaudhary's role.
Yes.
So it's a great initiative and managing 18 different institutes from India and abroad and from various technical backgrounds. It's a huge task. I salute Dr. Prashant Chaudhary and Mrs. Priyanka and other organizers who played a very great role.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just
yeah. We have to
thank
recognize
you.
the other organizers also, Dr. Prasad. You know that it's a fantastic teamwork, and I must really personally thank Dr. Shanti. She only brought me into this podium, and I hope that this has to continue for a long time. Thank you, ma'am, for that wonderful comparing this program. And I think that quite often I have, the disturb every now and then Mrs. Priyanka also. Sorry, ma'am, because I have no other option because every time, that I have to send messages or I have to, that call at the odd time also, whether it is a Saturday or even sometimes, the 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the night also. So anyway, thank the Almighty for we have, that done this conference very successfully. Thank you. It's a great experience. At the time, it's virtual conference is a great experience for us. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir,
Thank
for
you.
all your efforts and
Yeah,
your teamwork, basically.
yeah, yeah. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Abhinaya,
Yeah.
Thank
for
you, ma'am.
the great comparing.
Ma'am,
And
I have to thank actually from the bottom of your heart, like I want to thank Shanti ma'am and Priyanka ma'am for giving me this opportunity to host the international conference. It was a great experience. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you
Prashant,
to
sir, would
you.
you like to say something?
I would like to say thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm very happy because I saw you today, and I admire your publication and your conferences. I'm so happy. With all my best wishes and hopes for all of you and all the humanity, inshallah.
Thank you,
Thank you.
ma'am.
Thank you.
Prashant, sir, would you like to say something? Please unmute your device.
I'm thankful to Professor Shanti, Professor Ayub Khan sir,
Sir,
then
please
Abhinaya
raise
Ruben
your voice.
madam. Hello. I'm
Sir,
thankful to
please
Professor
little bit
Shanti.
louder.
Hello. Hello. Is my voice audible?
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Now,
Yes,
Yeah.
now it's
Yes.
audible.
I'm thankful to yes. I'm thankful to Professor Shanti and Professor Ayub Khan sir and Abhinaya madam and Asma Anwar madam for joining this session. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Prashant, Dr. Priyanka, and all of you. Thank you. I am happy to be one of your committee and advisors. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Anybody else joining? Priyanka? Priyanka, unmute.
no, ma'am. No join. still.
We have 3 more
So
members.
no ma'am, nobody is available on this.
Okay, then
Yeah. Thank you all the participants to be with us for the 2-day international conference.
Abhinaya, you say final